Hello, Ben.
Hey.
My name's Kevin.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I'm here to interview you. It's a networking interview for a personal training class with Nick Petrella. I am interested in my future being involved, maybe not the YMCA, but definitely as management of a fitness facility, preferably. So I'm just going to ask you some questions starting off, kind of how you got started in the fitness industry, how you got involved with the Y, how you grew through the Y, and then some other questions that are kind of related to your career.
Sure.
So I was wondering if you could tell me first off how you kind of got involved in physical activity as a child, like what your sports were, what you like to do.
You know, I always grew up, and my parents were both athletic. They were big into baseball, hockey. My mother's a big volleyball player. So I was kind of surrounded by sports and athletics growing up.
Okay.
So I kind of took that and played every sport imaginable growing up. My parents would have me in baseball, soccer, track and field, tennis, kind of you name it, kind of very well-rounded. And then I kind of took a liking and a really big loving to baseball and kind of tried to make a career out of that for a while. So I went down to the States and I went to school there and played for a little bit. And obviously I'm working here, so I didn't get drafted or anything like that, but it was an awesome experience. And I honestly truly believe that athletics and sports and kind of that whole team environment really does create a person and helps really make them very well-rounded and kind of a big aspect and a big push in a lot of people's lives.
Okay. At what point in your life did you maybe not decide, but start to realize that you wanted a career based in physical activity, health, wellness, and fitness?
Yeah. It kind of went a couple ways. I originally came out of high school wanting to do kind of phys ed teacher style kind of thing, and my education level kind of took me in another direction.
Okay.
So I actually took some phys ed while I was at Queens for a little bit.
Yep.
And I left that to go play baseball down in the States. And when I went down there, I was given a phys ed as well to follow. And the education system down there just isn't nearly up to snuff with ours up here.
In what way?
I felt like I was taking grade 11 English classes in a like second, third year university style course. So when I finished my time down in the States, I had transferred back to finish a degree up at Brock.
Okay.
And Brock didn't accept a lot of the credits being equal, which in some of the classes case, I totally understand. They really weren't real classes. So when I went to Brock, I actually got accepted in recreation and leisure, and I kind of restarted my whole plan. So I didn't follow through with the phys ed. I kind of went into rec and leisure and looked at how to better people's lives, not maybe from a phys ed standpoint, but from just a recreation in general, how to get people out, how to get them active, how to get them moving. And it's something I kind of really took a shine to.
Okay, so when you finished school, did you immediately start with the YMCA? Were you involved, did you work in health, wellness, and fitness? How did that turn out for you?
It kind of took a while to get things going. I was probably off 6 months in between graduation and actually finding work.
Okay.
My first 2 jobs out of university was a sport coordinator for a company called Not So Pro Sports.
Okay.
My job was basically setting up volleyball nets, coordinating the games, communicating with all the on-site coordinators, and kind of facilitating the recreational volleyball that was going through with this company. Okay. My second job after that, I left and I moved on to manage an indoor soccer facility.
Yeah.
Soccer really wasn't my thing, but it was a management position in an athletic-based environment. I really enjoyed the job, but it started kind of getting in the way of family life at that point. If you're managing an indoor soccer facility or a lot of indoor facilities, their hours are more like open at 5 p.m. and you run through 2, 3, 4, 5. So.
And do you end up, I guess that you don't have a really set schedule for the year. It's kind of you are needed as the teams come in and out to practice and play?
For the indoor facility, it's always open on usually a set schedule.
Okay.
Like I said, you'd be somewhere between 4 or 5 p.m. open till a 1 to 2, maybe 3, depending on how many bookings you have.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't think that going in that it would actually go that long as well. But there's a lot of diehard soccer fans that they'll come and play for it. And I mean, usually they have reduced pricing for those hours, so it was pretty busy actually.
Could have done some bartending. Made a little
Well, there was a bar as well.
money.
There was a bar there as well, so that was kind of part of my job. I was thinking.
Okay, so every job you had after school, was it involved in health, wellness, fitness, and rec and leisure and all that?
Yeah, so I took obviously the first 2 jobs I just mentioned. They were very entry-level kind of style jobs, a lot easier to get, especially with very little experience coming out of university.
Okay.
So I finally moved on, and a lot of my experience is actually based in children's sports. I've coached many different teams, whether it's baseball, volleyball. I've also coached a high school volleyball team for a while. So my experience was more based in children's programming.
Okay.
So my next big job was actually a step, and I was the supervisor for the Child, Youth, and Family programs at a downtown YMCA in Toronto.
Okay.
So that kind of started leading me into the gym side of things, as opposed to the privatization sector.
And is that how you entered the YMCA?
That was my
your
first YMCA
job?
position.
And what was your title?
Supervisor of Child, Youth, and Family programs.
Okay, so I guess you got your management experience before the Y then, and then so when you applied, you already had it, and then they walked you right into that
They walked
position?
you right into it, yeah. The management side of things, to be honest, when I was at the soccer facility, I had the manager title, but really you're just a facility supervisor. You're kind of book people, put them out there. The responsibility was pretty low, which, I mean, for coming out of university is good. It's nice to have a good title on your resume and kind of move things forward from there.
Okay, so when you made that transition to the Y, in terms of management and what was required of you and your management above you, what was expected, can you tell me a bit about that and how it was different from any other place?
Yeah, I'd say when I came into the Y, it really became more management based. A lot of it was focused on membership retention and just how much revenue we could generate.
Okay.
So it was the first time I kind of went outside of that recreation for fun and recreation for your health and recreation for the good of you into recreation for a profit.
Okay.
And that's kind of, once you get to the management level through obviously many organizations, that's going to be the main goal at some point, is to generate revenue and stay as a viable company.
How did you feel about that? Because I know people want to help people. Sometimes they're willing to help people for free just to see someone be better off, and then as the Y starts introducing the revenue is above the people.
Yep.
Which is with most businesses. How did you feel about that, or how did you handle that?
It was a pretty easy transition.
Okay.
Only because, I mean, that's the ultimate goal that upper management wants to see, but your actual job and your frontline work is still working directly with people. You're helping families, you're working with kids. I was lucky enough, being in the child youth sector, that I got to mentor a group of probably 15, 20 kids twice a week.
Okay.
It was a youth leadership class, so I got that one-on-one touch with all these kids, and we'd work on life skills and getting them ready for university and kind of stuff like that. So I believe I had a really good impact on a lot of their lives, and that was kind of what fulfilled me out of everything else. The revenue stuff was just kind of the job on the side. But the actual one-on-one is why you work for an organization like the YMCA.
Okay, so it sounds like you have quite a few options how to kind of work your position.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you see any of those, I guess they're not children anymore, adults, do you see any of those individuals?
When I left the downtown Y, I kind of slowly tried to separate myself from it.
Yeah.
Only because someone else was coming into my position at that point.
Okay.
And I didn't want to make a transition difficult for them to take over this group while I was away.
Okay.
I still check in on them on Facebook once every couple months. They still have a YMCA page, so I'll just check in, see how everyone's doing. But other than that, I kind of let them go with their new mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Keep up with them that way.
Okay. Do you have any experience through the Y working with an elderly population? It sounds like you worked with quite a few kids.
Yeah. So I did a lot of work with kids. That was my main focus when I was at the one downtown Toronto.
Okay.
I also had a couple classes where I was teaching what we called prime time, and that was basically a boot camp for seniors, 65 plus. So it was a fantastic program. They made 3 times a week. We'd go from boot camp style classes to yoga classes to Zumba style classes, obviously all at a reduced level to meet their physical abilities.
Okay.
The class would also contain us going for trips to Toronto Island once a month. We'd go out and kind of get everyone outside of the YMCA and get them into another environment. We might bring a yoga instructor and they can do some yoga out on the island, then we'll just kind of walk around. So it was a great opportunity for these seniors to not only get some exercise and to get fit and to stay healthy, but to also socialize. A lot of them kind of don't have that skill anymore anyways. So what we would do is we'd finish every class and we'd kind of try to focus and try to push everyone to kind of, let's go stay and let's go have a coffee downstairs, just to create that sense of community within the group.
So would you say, you have your education, and then it sounds like you've developed a lot of experience from working with a lot of different age groups and types of people, as well as educating them on different topics. Would you say all that combined has helped you to get to this position? at DBARC?
I think it's helped make things a lot more well-rounded.
Okay.
It's always good to know. I mean, a lot of people coming into positions like this are very focused on health and wellness and personal training.
Yes.
Which makes sense. You're in a gym environment. I have that experience as well, but I just think with my ability to talk about children's programs and to talk about seniors programs and to obviously do some of the personal training stuff as well, it just gives me a better outlook on kind of the whole situation that's going on within a facility. So I was really happy at every position that I had kind of coming up through the ranks. And this is just kind of the next step in that direction.
Okay. Well, I know you as you work at DBARC and everything. So can you tell me about how you got this position? Was it offered to you? Did you apply for it?
Yep.
And also where you came from before this location.
So I left the downtown YMCA about 2-3 years ago.
Okay.
I moved into the private sector, and I was actually supervising a recreation department in a hotel downtown Toronto.
Okay.
I left at that time for money, basically. That was the choice. You know, I have a wife, a kid, a house, and there was some more money in the hotel industry, so I kind of went off in that direction.
Okay.
I realized after about 2 years there that it wasn't for me. There was no one-on-one, there was no getting to know your guests or your members. It was kind of like a one-off and go. I just really didn't like the environment that was there. It wasn't for me anyways. So at that point, I started looking for some work outside of the hotel industry, and lucky enough, this position opened up. And again, it's YMCA based within a university, which is fantastic, or within a college, sorry, which is fantastic. I was always into athletics, and this is based right within an athletic situation. So I was happy to have this.
Okay, and was this position offered to you? Did you apply for it?
I applied for the position.
Okay.
There was a 2-stage interview, and then I was offered the position after that.
What's involved in that 2-stage interview? Like the first stage, what's that about, and the second stage?
So the first stage, I met with one of the heads of HR, and I also met with the downtown branch's manager.
Yep.
And we kind of just sat and talked about what the position is, what my past is like, how it may differ from a regular YMCA, and kind of how I would fit into that role. From there, I think that's kind of more of a get to know the person style interview. Are they going to be a good fit or are they not? So I passed by the first set. The second set of interviews was actually a 20-minute presentation. And the presentation was based on a project that I have led in the past that led to success and how we reached it, and kind of the overall structure of how that project was oriented. So I talked about a project I ran called the Jay's Care Foundation Room.
Okay.
And at the downtown YMCA, we were given a $25,000 grant to create a new space for youth. Part of it was kind of like a hangout space within the facility. Part of it was, let's keep this exercise based. So we created a space with a lot of extra gaming equipment. So things like the climbing wall that's actually upstairs, we put that in this teen-based space. A couple of like Dance Dance Revolution style machines, some punching bags that had games to it, and then we kind of give them a back corner where they could do their homework, they could have some computer, have some quiet time, and it gave these youth their own space within an environment that is very heavily adult-based. There wasn't a lot of programming for youth out of that location, just because the numbers were sheer majority adult. So to finally give them something was an amazing situation.
Okay. Well, this interview is supposed to be 15 minutes. We have about a minute and 20 seconds left, and I'd like to get full marks. So I was wondering if very quickly you could give me some advice. I did management in a bar department for several years, so I do have that experience in that setting. I'm almost finished my college diploma at Mohawk. So what advice could you give me, maybe 2 or 3 points, to help me maybe get into a position of management in a fitness facility?
I really think probably your best bet is to just soak in as much as you can through all the classes, through your work, ask questions. And then the next thing is get certified in as many things as you can.
Okay.
If you can get a certification in Twist, go get it. If you can get a certification as a nutritionist, go get it.
Yeah.
The more you have on the resume, the easier it is to hire you. Without those certifications, you can still do it. It's going to take some time, and it doesn't show as well on the resume. So certify yourself, get the experience. Coming out of college, sometimes it's not the easiest. Sometimes you have zero experience. So how do you get that full-time job with no experience?
Yes.
Maybe you have to take a lot of volunteer work. Maybe do that for a couple months after graduation. Or just take a job that, it's in the field that you want. It might not be the position you want, but it's in your field, and you can throw it on your resume and just use that towards growing where you want to be in the end.
Okay. Well, thank you very
Yeah.
much for your time. I was wondering if I could give you my business card.
Yeah,
I
for
made
sure.
one specifically for you and for this class. And if you had a business card that
I
you
do.
could exchange with me. There you are, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very much. And again,
Okay.
thank you for your time.
Have a good day.